So my general rule of thumb when it comes to remakes is it either has to, one, improve upon the original, or two, do something significantly different than the original. And this film does neither. However, I still kind of enjoy it. Hello everybody, welcome back to The Haunted Beard. My name is Jake. Thank you again for joining me. So, it's been a little bit of time since my last Texas Chainsaw video. There's been a bunch of stuff that I've been wanting to watch and getting other videos and reviews out, but I'm back at it. So I've been reviewing the Texas Chainsaw Massacre franchise, going through reviewing all the films, and then we'll eventually do a definitive ranking. So today, obviously, I'm talking about the remake from 2003. And as I said in my opening, typically, a remake has to either improve on the original, which that was never going to happen in this case, or it has to do something pretty significantly different, which this film, there are some minor differences, but it's basically the same story, the same movie as the original. And so just by that standard, if I'm going to be totally honest, this is a film that didn't really need to get made. There's no reason for this to get made because we've seen this movie before and it has been done significantly better with the original film. So if I'm in the mood to watch a Texas Chainsaw movie, I'm just going to go watch the original. However, if I can do my best to try to separate it and detach it from the original film and just kind of look at it as its own individual thing, there are still some things here that I can appreciate that I think work pretty well. So I will give this film some props and some credit where I think his credit is due. So first off, I think the cinematography in this film is pretty solid. There's some really nice shots here. Some of the lighting is just really nice. I think for the most part, the film does a pretty good job in sort of recreating just the hot, sweaty, sticky kind of feel and look to the movie. I think they do a pretty good job there. And just in general, there's just some nice shots. I like some of the shots that happen when Jessica Biel and Kemper find the house. They go into the house, and just some of the lighting coming in through the windows is just kind of nice. Some of the shots of the exterior of the house once the night falls and stuff like that, there's just some nice kind of silhouette type stuff. I like some of the shots later on in the film when they're making the getaway kind of in the underground tunnels underneath the house, and you got all the lights coming in through the little slats in the wood and stuff like that. So overall, there is a nice visual presentation to the remake. I think it looks nice. There's some memorable shots, and I think they do a good job just capturing visually the feel to, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre type world. I also think Jessica Biel's performance as Erin is pretty good. There's not much depth to her character. We don't really find out a whole lot about her. And, a lot of it's just kind of the one note sort of thing, but she does a pretty good job. And I do like, and this is kind of a small detail, but just in regards to her performance, there's definitely those moments where you can tell she's freaking out so much and crying so much to where her eyes get all puffy and red. And there's just that little detail that adds believability to where it feels like she really has been crying and is totally freaking out. I really like the scene too where when Arlie Ermy and the sheriff comes by and her and the other girl are laying on the ground, and she kind of turns around and looks at him and starts yelling, and her voice kind of cuts in and out. Just another kind of little detail of her just totally freaking out, but she just sells the performance. She does a good job, and I think for the most part, she carries the film admirably. Leatherface in this movie, obviously he's not Gunnar Hansen, but I think Andrew Bryniarski, I think that's how you pronounce his name. I think he does a good job. He just is this beast, this hulk of a presence, and just has, obviously a lot of physicality to it. He's this just towering, massive dude that's just frightening. I like the mask. It's just really twisted and disturbing. And I like some of the choices that the director made to kind of show Leatherface working and being down sort of, in the basement, in the dungeon of the house, so to speak, and us just kind of getting to see Leatherface in his lair doing his work. There's one shot that I just really liked where it shows him sewing his new mask together. And I just thought that was just kind of a a cool idea and a cool thought to show that, because like, oh yeah, but of course Leatherface knows how to sew because he's sewing all these skins together and he can make a mask. And I don't know, I just thought it was a twisted but cool idea to show him sewing the mask together. And I also like R. Lee Ermey's character as the sheriff, and his eyebrows alone are like just, worth watching this movie because they're hilarious. But no, R. Lee Ermey's great, and I think he totally sells this role. I mean, he's just this evil, sick, disgusting, twisted dude who happens to be a sheriff. And if I was to say there was any potential improvement with this one compared to the original, it would probably be in this role. And I know there's technically not a sheriff in the original, but I guess if it would be kind of the old man role. So I'm not going to maybe say it's an improvement, but I think it's at least as good as the original. But in large part, that's obviously just due to Ermey's performance. I think he just does a really good job. And so that's another definite positive for this film. Now, in talking about some aspects that are kind of more on the negative side, this is a film that, while it does have some nice visuals to it, there are some pretty good elements to it. This is a film that it feels more Hollywoodized. It feels like you're watching a Hollywood movie because it definitely falls into some typical kind of cliches and tropes and things like that. And as I said in my review for the original, I think one of the best things about the original is that it doesn't really feel like you're watching a movie. It almost feels like you're watching this sort of found footage, actual footage of something that belongs in a police evidence locker kind of thing. To whereas this definitely has just the more Hollywood feel. I think one of the prime examples is early on in the beginning of the movie when they pick up the hitchhiker. In the original film, it just kind of seems like this very natural, matter-of-fact thing. Oh, there just happens to be a guy, and let's pick him up. And I just like how kind of slow and gradual almost that sequence plays out, to where it kind of just slowly dawns on them that this guy is totally out of his mind and completely crazy. Whereas this one, it's very intense, very dramatic, very Hollywoodized and over the top right from the beginning, right? It's just this immediately very dramatic moment. The music comes in and is very over the top type thing. And you just know, okay. And it's just kind of moments like that to where it just kind of feels forced. It feels like we're watching a movie. We're very aware of the fact that we're watching a movie, to where the original, it just feels more organic and natural. Other comparisons that can be made is in the original film, just that first half, up until Leatherface's first kill, with the exception of the hitchhiker scene, it just kind of plays out very sort of, almost bland. It's just very sort of mellow. There's not really much that happens. There's certainly no sort of heightened dramatic moments or anything like that, where in the remake, it's like they kind of have to add some stuff, right? There's the scene where they go into the little warehouse and the possum jumps out at them and kind of freaks them out. And then they run into the boy who's there, and it's this another kind of ominous, mysterious, creepy sort of moment, right? And so, I don't know, I think in a way it almost kind of speaks to the attention spans of maybe more modern audiences, that like we need something to happen every few minutes, otherwise we get bored, where the original film is just kind of content with just sort of, this just, here's what happens and that's it sort of thing. So again, it's just another one of those things to where it's like, yeah, we're just aware we're watching a movie here. And there's other scenes in this movie and tropes and things like that we've seen before that, again, just remind us we're watching a movie, where the one dude sticks his arm in the trunk and pretends that something horrible is happening, and then he just, pulls it out and laughing. And it's like, yeah, we've seen stuff like that, right? There's the car won't start right when you need it to start, right? Like, we've seen that. Later on, when Jessica Biel gets served up some tea, and of course it's drugged, right? And so, it definitely does things that we've seen. It's familiar. It's kind of predictable. There are some elements in here that I think work pretty well, but there's definitely just that kind of general familiarity horror movie stuff that this movie does. And so to me, there's really not much more to say about this, right? Like, I mean, if you've seen the original, you've basically seen this. Yes, there's some minor differences, and, little things that are different, but it's just, it's not the original. It's not even close to the original in the majority of ways. And so it's like, if I want to watch a Texas Chainsaw movie, I'm just going to watch the original. I will give the movie some credit too, because there's one scene that I think is genuinely pretty great, at least that I really enjoy. And that's when Jessica Biel sees Leatherface is wearing her boyfriend's face. That's a great scene. Probably the best scene in the movie. But so, like I said, there are some stuff here that you can at least enjoy if you're a fan of slasher movies, but it's not the original film. And that's kind of really all there is to say about it. Overall, I'm still a little bit more on the positive side. This was actually the second time I watched this. And so it's fine. Like I enjoyed it enough. There's enough there to where I was like, all right, yeah, it's a good enough time. So, I'm probably like a 6 out of 10. That's probably being a little generous, but yeah, it's a decent enough time. It's just obviously it's not the original. So anyways, those are my thoughts. Hit me up down below. Let me know your guys' thoughts. What do you think of the remake? Would love to hear from you. Up next is going to be Texas Chainsaw Massacre: The Beginning, which, if I'm not mistaken, is the prequel, I think, to this remake. So, haven't seen it before. Be a first time watch for me. So, yeah, we'll see how that goes. Anyways, that's all I got for you. Thank you so much for watching. Greatly appreciate it. If you got anything out of this video, go ahead and do me a favor and do not click that subscribe button unless you want to be haunted by the beard.